You find yourself at a threshold forgotten by time. A broad arch curves overhead, carved from deep gray stone, its surface mottled with lichen. Around you, the air is cool, yet faint warmth clings to your skin like a whispered secret. Below, small pools catch soft light, their surfaces rippling with slow eddies from distant movement. A scent arises, wet earth mingled with crisp moss and distant traces of dried herbs. Your shoulders drop, heavy and loose, as breath deepens, steady and unhurried. The carved arch hums faintly beneath the weight of countless years. You gather the quiet around you like a cloak, dense and comforting. The etched patterns twist in muted relief, a serpentine coil, a faded sun, a silent eye. Marble steps stretch ahead, worn gentle and even by forgotten feet. Your feet find a place between the stones, cool and grainy beneath bare skin. You linger in this space, feeling the breath of time fold softly around you. A thin mist rises near the ground, curling like pale smoke from a distant fire. The air tastes faintly of olive oil and myrtle, faint but softened by age. Toward the arch's heart, dim light filters through cracked openings above, lace-like pale gold. Your gaze falls on a single dried petal, delicate as parchment, resting on a smooth stone. Within, a subtle pulse seems to breathe, an echo not quite forgotten, yet fading. You make way through the arch, wary not to disturb the fragile hush. The path is lined with scattered tokens, thin bone fragments, worn glass beads, faded feathers. Each carries weight, stories lost beneath layers of dust and shadow. Behind you, the entrance sighs quietly, distant now, swallowed by the gathering gloom. Beneath your feet, the stones cool further, rough edges smoothed by silent patience. An old scent brushes past, an overripe fruit, faded incense, the faintest hint of honey. You move deeper into the muted hall. An alcove opens to the left, dark except for a flicker of amber from a small bronze lamp. Its wick glows low, steady and golden, catching veins in the carved walls. The sculpted figures here are worn, faces blurred, limbs softened into marble waves. In their forms, you sense a story slipping away, half remembered and veiled in shadow. Cold bronze handles of discarded tools rest at the base of a crumbled statue. You lean close to watch dust drift down through the ghost light. The air settles around your chest like a feathered cloak. Thin sounds ripple faintly, a distant chant carried through cracks, fragments of an old tongue. A coolness lingers along exposed skin at your temples, steady and unchanging. Through a narrow archway, faint frost blue light shimmers across a polished stone basin. Water moves gradual, barely brushing the surface in tiny, unhurried waves. You pass onward toward the hushed presence held within these walls. A faded mosaic hints at faces long erased, mosaics broken by time's slow hand. In some places, gold leaf faintly lingers, catching what little light remains. You feel a weight in the breath. Between each sound, a pause carefully sustained. The bones beneath your feet hum gently, silent and patient witnesses to vanished days. An oil lamp's wick curls black, its flame vanished for centuries. You continue, drawn deeper, every breath a unhurried unfolding. A whispered thought drifts through the space, a memory of a lost god, unnamed. His name washed away by time's river, yet something of his shape remains, pale and still. A bronze coin glints once at the bottom of a troubled pool, forgotten, unclaimed. The echo of funerary song lingers, a thread of sound woven thinly through the cold air. You settle among these traces, the light weight of vanished stories folding slowly. Your limbs loosen, heavy as the marble pillars beside you. The gallery narrows, walls veined with delicate cracks that branch like roots. A faint pulse runs through the stone, steady and measured, as if the earth itself is breathing. The scent of distant offerings hints here, barley, dried petals, faintly smoked frankincense. At the edge of your vision, a single asphodel petal drifts past like a pale, cooling cloud. The temple's breath feels ancient, measured in long, unbroken cycles beyond counting. You drift quietly deeper into it, the light around you softening to muted gray. Something changes. The wavering light begins to pulse gently, a slow rhythm steady as a heartbeat. A feather, pale and fragile, drifts down toward worn stone, sounding almost silent. The dust swirls languidly in the faint glow, caught between movement and rest. A curved bronze dagger lies half buried in dry earth, its edge dulled by unseen years. You hold your breath as stillness fills the empty spaces, reverberating softly. The air tastes muted now, with the coolness of river stones dipped in shadow. The marble beneath you is cool to rest upon, smooth as water-worn glass. Your eyes close briefly to the fading light, gathering the calm within. The temple feels vast yet intimate, a quiet witness to myths no tongue speaks now. A memory of a forgotten name skirts just beyond reach, pale as moonlight. Cold air drapes gently across your skin, steady and even, as darkness pools faintly. You float in the hush as time dwindles to nearly nothing at all. The floor dips slightly, worn like the curve of a closed palm. A faint scent swirls, the steady glows of dried herbs and the still smoke of old fires. A small, smooth stone rests in your hand, warmed by the breath of forgotten stories. Fringes of embroidered linen, faded to pale threads, stir beside a broken amulet. The space folds around you, a soft cradle woven from shadow and lost echoes. You settle further into the muted rhythm, heartbeat blending with shadowed air. The corridor fades into a breath of pale candlelight that barely lifts the dense dark. A fragile bird feather, curled and dry, catches the last gleams of softness. Unhurried breath follows slow breath, the still measured in mild waves washing close. A narrow pool reflects the wan glow of stars healed by distant memory. Your body sinks with quiet ease, every limb heavy and releasing all tension. You rest within the still embrace that legend's silence has woven here. At the gallery's close, a cold hearth remains. A sea ashes long turn to dust. Faint warmth lingers there, a benevolent echo of forgotten stories told by firelight. Marble columns rise slender and smooth, fading into the dim horizon ahead. Far beyond, a gate of carved bone stands half open, waiting for what no longer comes. You hold that waiting slowly inside your chest, tender, never quite awake. The breath of time slips slowly past, pale and unbroken as distant stars. An old story lingers in the shadows, a god who walked the edges of memory. He gathered stories cast aside, cradling whispers where the light never reached. A thin murmur drifts past your ear, a forgotten hymn without beginning or end. You feel the space gather close, an unspoken secret held without urgency. The temple's pulse slows, each breath stretched long, embracing twilight hours. You lie quietly against cool stone, thin fabric beneath your skin, worn smooth. Slow warmth rises through limbs, folded gently, weighted like falling rain. A distant chant rises faint, then ebbs away, carried on a breathless wind. Fragments of forgotten words hover just out of reach, pale as dusk. This is the unseen side, the silent, the bright worlds forgot. You dissolve further into rest, carried by time's gentle, drifting hands. The arc of shadow curves around you, a delicate cocoon of muted silence. A single bone token lies close, thin and fragile, worn to smoothness. Cold air brushes across your face, pale and easy, dissolving thought with grace. Your chest rises shallowly, every breath a soft folding into vastness. The light fades gently, leaving only shapes softened by endless, even dark. You drift between moments, floating where stories disappear like mist. The quiet here feels boundless, a calm without edges or reach. The scent of ancient dust and dried wood lingers on the air, pale and faint. Marble beneath you cools steadily, solid as the silent embrace. A breath moves across your skin, easy and unhurried, barely felt. The empty spaces stretch wide and steady, unfolding like a dark tapestry. You remain tucked within this unhurried, expanding hush, time stretched long and low. You hear a delicate, distant sound, a slow folding of old parchment. It comes and goes as quietly as a pulse in deep shadowed water. The air carries faint memories of wheat fields swaying far beyond this space. A thin vein of golden light trails faintly along a cracked column. You rest in the muted absence of all sound and movement, vast and deep. The temple settles around you, timeless and patient, waiting without demand. Something changes. The stone cools further, deepening into a faint, fading chill. A muted ripple stirs in the air, measured and barely breathing. Fragments of dim light shimmer at the edge, then recede once more. Long shadows fold and blend with the soft breath of the dark. You sink deeper into the hollow warmth of absence, smooth as worn leather. The silence carries mild weight, endless and unbroken beneath your skin. The faintest pulse of breath runs through your resting form. Pale warmth gathers slowly, gentle as petals closing at the end of day. A quiet darkness pools beneath closed eyelids, thick and tender. Cold stone anchors your body lightly, steady as gradual rivers beneath earth. A scent of pale myrrh drifts faintly, faint and thin, held in long still. Your mind floats near sleep's shore, a slow tide pulling the edges in. Marble walls dissolve softly into muted shapes beyond vision's reach. Light falls away into threads of velvet and scattered dusted silver dust. The breath moves in easy waves, steady and even, untroubled by thought. Cold hums quietly beneath skin's surface, steady and measured like distant rain. The weight of stillness gathers around, heavy with the pulse of ancient calm. You remain without motion, cradled gently in this hushed, ageless hold. The heavy, dark curls closer, a soft shroud woven from velvet shadows. The coolness moves slowly down your arms, a long, steady slide. A faint warmth pulses at your heart center, steady and low as a whispered song. The air hangs thick with still and dim scents of dried earth and faded flower. The temple's breath lengthens further, moment by moment, slipping into rest. You fold quietly within the expanding cradle of stillness, every thought ebbing. A pale shape drifts gently near the corner, a dim shimmer of silken thread. The faint stir is as quiet as a breath held just before sleep's embrace. Cool stone next to warm flesh, an endless balance unfolding beneath dark. You fold more deeply into weightless, muted, limbs heavy like falling rain. The silence wears a worn smoothness, like marble footsteps traced once, then lost. Deepens steadily as breath softens towards steady, tender abandon. The world narrows gently to the space around your chest and throat. Every breath falls long and slow, a steady pulse beneath still eyelids. A still warmth glimmers faintly, delicate as a secret told in shadow. The heavy dark enfolds lightly, a soft embrace without beginning or end. You rest between moments where forgotten myths dissolve into silence. Your body hums with the ancient rhythm of measured, steady night. The corridor stretches quiet on each side, veined with fading cracks drenched in dusk. A steady pulse hums faint within the stones, steady and deep as Earth's own breath. The scent of dried herbs lingers mild, bound with linen worn thin by time. Your limbs lie heavy and without weight, softened by cool marble's easy touch. A breeze stirs faint dust, drifting over worn fabric beside your resting form. You hover between waking and dreaming, balanced on the crystal edge of rest. A gentle warmth gathers near your heart, thin and steady as a pulse through stone. The air hums faintly with unseen life, slow and rhythmic as waves on a muted shore. The light dims around you, filtered through curtains of age-old shadow and unhurried breath. A fading whisper brushes past, carried on a steady, unbroken current of air. Your body rests folded, cradled by the steady hush of endless calm. Every sound and motion fades faintly toward a tranquil, steady void. You remain swaddled in the muted weight of untold stories, distant and fading. A lone petal drifts gently, pale as softened wax, brushing the marble floor. Warm breath gathers low in your chest, steady and broken only by lengthened pause. The temple waits quietly, endless and patient, beyond time's slow erosion. The mist curls faint, a silent thread weaving through gloom and whispered memory. You sink deeper into easy stillness, held in the ease of long losing. The breath slows still more, drawing long sounds from silent spaces in your chest. A faint glow pulses low, soft and steady from unseen depths beneath stone. Cool air drapes lightly over the curve of your cheek, light as dusk's first sigh. The temple's heart beats unhurried and even, a still rhythm beneath lost names. Your body rests like folded cloth, wrapped softly in night's gentle fold. You drift further into the hush, suspended in the echo of forgotten myths. The shapes around you blur into light darkness, edges fading to smooth. The cool stone beneath remains steady, solid as gradual flowing rivers below. A tender hum vibrates faintly in the silence, slow and even like distant rain. Your limbs feel heavy as dusk, falling gently into vast, unbroken rest. Breath falls longer, softer, carried on the still weight of night's gradual arms. The quiet gathers around you, spreading wide like a pale, endless pool. The temple fades into muted shadow and tender, unchanging dark. An easy warmth lies low, steady as deep roots beneath fading leaf. The breeze softens into silence, moving like a gradual, unfurling thread. Your body rests lightly, folded like a petal caught in gentle wind. Every breath slows, deepening lightly, carried on the hushed pulse of earth. The long night cradles you near, steady and untroubled by time's passing. The light thins to a faint shimmer, as if stars are breathing far away. Air drifts slow and pale, touching skin like petals and soft linen folds. Shadows settle deeper, woven thick as velvet around your resting form. A mild stir moves faintly just beyond sense, a steady trail of forgotten echoes. Your limbs extend with hushed weight, easily heavy in the hush of dark. Breath lengthens farther, pulled unhurried into the long, steady night. You are folded within silence, a mild rest beneath whispers of ageless stone. Cold blackness flows like water, and light dust drifts through endless space. A faint rhythm hums low beneath skin, steady as slow waves against shore. The temple's voice fades to a murmur, unheard but deeply held beneath all. Light softens all edges, blurring shapes into tender pools of shadow. You fold more deeply into the gradual dark, quiet as the long forgotten. The breath unfolds wide and unhurried, soft as moss on ancient stone. A single scent lingers, a faint trace of dried blossoms and old smoke. Your body dissolves lightly into cool marble, steady and unresisting. Deep, muted wraps every limb, gentle as water settling in smooth bowls. The pulse drifts far away, a calm darkness filling all the spaces. You remain motionless, carried by the endless hush of mythic night. Cold shadows stretch broader, the edges of vision blurred and softened. A feather floats down slowly, turning faintly in the thickened air. Breath deepens longer, pulsing steady through still chambers far below. The temple exhales slow and low, carrying time's fading weight. You rest folded within the vast peace granted to forgotten names. Silence enfolds you fully, steady and tender beneath endless sky. The pulse in the stone hums dim and low, steady as steady can be. Shadows whisper quietly around you, carrying threads of mist and memory. Warmth flows faint through your chest, unhurried as a river beneath leaf-strewn banks. The air tastes pale and faint, like dried petals brushed with dim ash. Your limbs grow heavier with every breath, falling gently into calm. The temple waits patiently, great and quiet, beyond time's reach. The breath slows further, falling long over lightly closed eyes. The stone's chill rests even and deep beneath your warm, folded frame. Soft fragments of wind trace the edges of your skin, tender and measured. A faint gleam plays distant on cracks, flickering dim as worn gold leaf. You fold further into the stillness, wrapped in layers of ageless dark. Each pulse fades faintly into the silent air surrounding you fully. You sink gently into the breath that rises from cool earth and old stone. Darkness pools smoothly like thick velvet beneath tired walls and tired bones. A small glow flickers low, steady, then smooths out and fades into gray. The scent of dry wood drifts slow, lingering like a distant memory. Limbs lie heavy, softly weighted by the patient, hushed below the ancient sky. The night grows longer, folding you deeper in its endless embrace. The muted space holds endless breaths, unbroken and calm as winter snow. Cold stone hums gently beneath skin, steady and pure as distant stars. Every sound falls away, folded under the unhurried, tender tide of timeless dark. A faint shimmer of light traces the edges of nothing beyond sleep. Your body remains light and still, woven tightly into the peace of myth. The breath grows softer, steady, and measured, pulled gently into the dark. A slow pulse beats faint and steady, woven beneath the very marrow. The darkness flows like a river, constant and even in its quiet. A tender coolness brushes the skin, thin as the last wisp of mist. Light falls away lightly, deferred to shadows unhurried in certain fold. Every limb rests heavily, a weightless weight flowing to empty space. You drift faintly into the calm, hushed and vast without a word. The breath deepens to a long, unhurried wave, steady as faint tide pulling shore. Shadows settle thick as velvet, folding outward into hushed realms. Air tastes cool and pale, like dried flowers pressed beneath old pages. Your body is soft and heavy, sinking further into easy dark. A faint gleam shivers once, then folds into endless depths of silence. Stillness wears slowly like a cloak, unbroken and calm as mild stone. A slow, even murmur hums low beneath quiet skin and closed eyes. Cold air moves like a light exhale across the curve of your cheek. Light thins to a distant, fading thread stretched purely beyond reach. Breath falls long and gradual and steady and slow, without beginning or end. The dark gathers close, smooth and endless as a hushed sea of night. You drift with no shape, no thought, only the steady pulse of rest. A single trace of warmth glows faint within the deep calm. Light pools gently on a surface unseen, like folded silk beneath the dark. A shimmer, delicate and measured, dances in silence, barely more than a whisper of presence. Your limbs loosen further, melting into the still foundation beneath you. The air settles around skin like a gentle wash of cool velvet. Your breath is a hushed wave, unfolding endlessly without aim. A glint appears far off, a pale, unmarked token resting quietly among worn stones. It lies undisturbed, a relic from a tale no voice now tells aloud. Its edges catch a faint glow, like memory brushing softly against shadow. Soft echoes of forgotten names hum faintly, fading in the distance, like distant chimes. The weight of lost stories presses lightly, a tender heaviness without demand. A moment lingers, fragile, transient, as if the past exhales with light breath. Marble worn smooth by invisible hands cools where you rest. A steady pulse, not your own, hums low and unbroken beneath the quiet stones. The distant scent of dried herbs floats through unmoving air, time's faint offering. Phantom voices ripple faintly, a lull beneath the hush that cradles you. A single petal of pale white drifts slowly past your feet, cool as bone. The air tastes faintly of old rain on aged earth, barely stirring. Your body sinks deeper into unchanging hush. The faint murmur fades into clean, endless silence. Warmth ebbs gently from your fingertips, flowing outward like fading light. Stillness thickens, mild and smooth as polished bronze. A mild weight unfolds across your chest, thin and unhurried. The dark embraces you, seamless and deep as forgotten dreams. A silent thought floats past, unformed and light as feather down. the surface beneath you remains even, settled like calm water under moonlight. Each breath falls long and slow, trailing off into mild, endless quiet. An unspoken peace drapes around you like fine linen folded with care. No need to move. No need to wonder. Only the gentle pulse beneath stillness. A single coin glints once more below the dark veil of calm water, forgotten, waiting. Your limbs are folded into silence, loose, with light weight. A faint shimmer wavers briefly, then folds away into endless silence. A tender scent of distant blossoms lingers, soft as ancient stone. Echoes fall away like light dust settling on forgotten leaves. Body and breath sync with the muted depths around and within you. Calm ripples move slowly through still air, like waves barely stirring water. The muted around you thickens, a measured even pulse of nothing and everywhere. Light diminishes into a threadbare trace, narrowing to a mild line far away. A cool breath brushes your cheek, as smooth as whetstone. The dark holds you gently, even as senses soften and recede. Your heartbeat blends with the hush, lowering, steady, unhurried, without strain. Stillness flows through every part, steady and deep as mountain roots. The space broadens faintly. Air lingers like steady mist around your skin. A faint scent of moss, damp and mild. Distance falls away with ease. Your body rests heavy, warm, beneath dark folds. The pulse inside thins, unbroken, slow. Skin feels soft heat, ever faint. The breath eases, light and pure. silence touches every limb. No thought remains. You rest. You drift. The dark flows. Calm holds. The breath slows. Light dims. Your limbs float lightly. Eyes close softly. The dark widens. Time melts away. Breath, long, low. Light, fading, gone. Quiet, deepening, still. Everything is muted. Slow and steady and gently. Without effort. You are safe.
You can rest now.